and welcome to the first full episode of Men Save Your Marriage podcast. I'm thrilled that you're here today. My name is Terry. And if you're here and if you're listening to this, then I can make one of a few assumptions. One, either maybe you are in a marriage that is dying. Maybe your marriage you feel like is already dead. And maybe maybe you're just trying to figure out what the next steps are for you. Where is my marriage? What am I dealing with? What do I do? And so if you're in any of those positions, I want you to know you're at the right place. Because here's what I want. We're gonna set the tone, and I want you to understand a few things as we get into this today. First of all, we're here because we're fighting for our marriage. That's what you're here to do, is to learn how to fight for your marriage. And everything you think you know, I'll be perfectly honest, everything somebody's told you is probably wrong. Um, Now, when this podcast opened, you heard a little bit of music and then you heard a bell. That bell is the same bell you would hear if you were sitting at a prize boxing match. And that's because I want you to feel like at the beginning of every episode, you know you've stepped into the ring, you're here to learn, you're here to grow so you can fight for your marriage. So I want to set that tone. Welcome to the fight. And I'm thrilled that you're here. I really am. Again, my name is Terry. I'm going to be your host. Why am I doing this? We're going to get into this, a few of these details, my background and what's going on. I'm a guy in my mid-50s. I had a marriage of nearly 27 years that failed. And it wasn't until sometime later that I went back and did an autopsy on my marriage that I figured out that there was a lot of things that I should have or could have done differently. And I don't know where I heard this, but somewhere along the way, I heard somebody say, you are either a great example or a horrible warning. And I wish right now I could tell you I would be a great example for you on how to fight for and save your marriage, but my marriage is not there right now. It is dead. We've been separated for a number of years. We are essentially divorced, except on paper we're not, but we are done. That's been made perfectly clear. So when I went back and did this autopsy on my marriage, I realized that there's some things that I wish I'd have known. There's some things I wish I'd have learned. And so I guess I'm going to be your horrible warning. And that's okay. If that's what comes of this, I'm okay with that. But along the way, during doing that autopsy, I discovered some things. And the reason that I'm starting this podcast and the reason that I'm good at giving this advice and helping men save their marriage is because what I'm really doing is telling you what I wish I had someone tell me. And I want to teach you the things that I wish I had someone teach me. So that's where this is going to go, and this is where we're headed. We're going to be looking at a few things. I want you to understand from the onset, right here at the beginning. Here is episode number 1. I want you to understand that man to man, I will be challenging you. I will be challenging you for your own personal growth. I will be challenging you for your own personal responsibility. I think this is a waste of time if I just get on here and teach you things and I don't challenge you. So I'm going to want you to hold yourself accountable to yourself. And quite honestly, anytime we have to begin working on a relationship, whether it's with a parent, a child, a spouse, it doesn't matter. The very first step is we got to take a look at ourselves. So we've got a lot to learn. We've got a lot of things we're going to go over in the coming weeks and months ahead. I will tell you that my intention right now is to keep each of these episodes. I think I mentioned this in the preview. I'm going to keep these episodes to under 15 minutes. That's my goal, hopefully. And if, we get on a topic and we have to stretch it out 2 or 3 episodes, I'm okay with that, because what I want you to do is to keep coming back time and time again so that you can, maybe while you're walking on the treadmill or maybe while you're on your commute home from work, you have time to, okay, let me hear what's downloaded today. Let me clue in on this. And figure out where I can go from here. And that's the idea behind this. So the first thing that I want to discuss very quickly is one of the things that I had to do, and one of the things that I suspect, if you haven't already, you will do, is we're going to have to learn the importance of taking responsibility. Now, I will tell you, I was very bad at this for a long time because I didn't have someone to demonstrate this for me. But I have come to a place to where I take responsibility for everything. I try to anyway. And what I have found, it does a few things, and I'll talk about them real quickly here, but it does a few things for me. If I take absolute responsibility for everything that happens to me or my family. Is it always right? No. Is it always perfect? No. But here's what it does. What I have discovered it does. So just right off the bat, I don't want you to think that I'm pushing you, but I want you to understand as you begin to think about how do I take absolute responsibility for everything, this may be one of those ways. Because what I found for me is being responsible for everything in relationships, in life, it makes you personally more prone to growth. If I look in the mirror and hold myself accountable, I tend to grow more. If I say, you know what, my one of my children made a bad decision, and while that was their decision, I'm going to walk through the consequences with them. I'm going to try to help them learn from it. But inside, internally, I am wondering what could I have done differently so that they would not have made that decision. Now, did I necessarily do something wrong? Maybe not. Did they necessarily do something wrong? Maybe not. I don't know. All of these are circumstances and could haves and should haves or might haves, right? But the truth is, if I take that responsibility, what it does do is it demands I look myself in the mirror and ask, what should I have done differently? What could I have done differently? How could I have been better to affect this outcome? And it just absolutely makes me more prone to growth. It motivates me. It enhances my own self-esteem, and it promotes me to even be more independent and not dependent on the world around me, on other people. It allows me the independence that I need so that I can lead as I need to within my family, my children, and even my ex, so that I'm still leading on some level. And so that's one of the first things I noticed about being responsible does is it promotes in me, and it almost sparks in me more personal growth. The other thing that I have found that it does is it allows me to be able to control situations better. By taking responsibility in relationships, again, with parents, spouse, children, whatever, by taking responsibility and kind of owning that responsibility for myself, I understand when I need to step in, when I need to come to the rescue, when I need to step back and let things unfold. I know when I need to step in and maybe take charge or make things smooth when when the family maybe the family feels like it's in a little bit of a tornado, and I can step in. Well, okay, let's back it down. Slow it down. And my need to take the responsibility allows me to step in and kind of be a calming force and allows things to possibly slow down a bit. I'll just be honest with you straight up. I know that failure to take responsibility in a relationship will cause the relationship to fall apart. So it is imperative that you hear these things and begin to take a look at yourself. Am I taking responsibility? Just ask yourself, am I responsible for everything I could be in life? The other thing that I have found is that even now, separated for a number of years, I have a better relationship with my ex than I have had since the split, because I do take that absolute responsibility. And while we're nowhere close to being back together, and nothing is trending that way, because this is a lot of understanding after the fact is where I came from this. But I do feel as if she almost trusts me more now, because I do take that absolute responsibility. But this is going to lead for yourself to just absolute unparalleled personal growth, and it will affect everyone around you as you begin to take more responsibility. The other thing that you will learn is you will learn compassion, and how being compassionate is one of the most important aspects you can have, especially in relationships, not only with the spouse, but with everyone. But being responsible in relationships, you're going to learn empathy and how to support other people. In this case, it's how to support your wife, how to support the one that right now you may be struggling with, because you have empathy for them. So this is just a few of the things we're going to get into and we're going to look at. But I just kind of wanted this opening episode to just really kind of be an introduction. Again, I'm in my mid 50s. I've been separated now for nearly 76 years, and I have to go back and do the math so I can get it exactly right. But I've been separated for quite some time, and it wasn't until after the separation where I began to do that autopsy, to take a look back with a very honest approach, just absolute honest with myself. This wasn't something I went and shared with somebody. This was just me and myself. And I really began to understand, boy, I wish I'd have known this. And why didn't I do that? And so what I want to do as we dive into some of these topics in the coming days is, again, I'm going to be that horrible warning. Here's what I did wrong. You're going to hear me say that a lot. You're never going to hear me talk ill of my ex. You're never going to hear me throw mud at her. That's just not in the cards for this. It's not happening. But you will hear me take responsibility, and you will hear me tell you probably something I'm going to say a lot of times. I wish I would have, or here's what you need to do. I know that because I didn't. That's where this is headed. So let me congratulate you first. If you're listening to this, then you've probably made the decision to fight for your marriage, and I'm thrilled. Um, and I'm excited for you and to be here. If you are wondering whether or not you should, let me just encourage you. Yes, you should fight for your marriage. Let me give you an example. Just let me boil it down to hard numbers. If everybody listening to me, if 100, just say 100 men divorce their spouse, out of that 100, within 5 years, 86 of you are going to be remarried. Of the 86 that get remarried, 64 of you are going to have a second divorce. Now, that is a second wife, a second divorce, a second marriage, all of that piled on top of what you have right now. And if I could encourage you to do anything, I would encourage you to stop right where you are and figure out what it was about this girl that made you fall in love with her from the beginning. How could you get back to there? Listen to the coming episodes and begin to learn. This is not going to be easy, and I never said it was. It's going to be difficult, and quite frankly, it's going to be the most difficult on yourself, because you're going to have to look yourself in the mirror and be honest about some stuff, whatever that is. So, but your odds of success, your odds of finishing this race here in we call life, with a loved one, with a spouse, with someone that you love, walking with you towards the end, your very best chance is to stay in the marriage you're in right now. And then again, in the days ahead, in the weeks to come, we're going to walk through a lot of things that you could be looking at, a lot of lessons that can be learned, and things that you may be able, steps you can take, and things you may be able to do to begin to work on yourself so that you can grow, and that can help foster growth within that relationship. That's where we're headed. I'm glad that you've made the decision you have. Even if you haven't made that decision to fight for your marriage yet, if you're listening to this, you're considering it, and I very much want you. That's my big regret, is I should have fought differently. I should have fought more. I should have fought in a way that it would have made sense for my marriage. The fighting that I was doing, it was all the wrong way. And it wasn't until I had that distance from the relationship and could look back with honesty with myself and kind of do that autopsy to figure out, this is what I should have learned. This is where I could go. I need to change some things. And now even though I don't have it right, I didn't get it right, I'm using what I've learned after the fact to kind of start to help other men. So I've been helping a lot of men locally for some time. This is my beginning stages of taking it to a larger audience. All right, so that's where we're at now. Let's finish up with what we can expect in the future. I will tell you that I'm going to be spending probably these first 10 to 20 episodes going through a lot of things that I've already kind of started to prepare, some lessons that I've learned, some things that I've learned walking with some other men through saving their marriage. And then I'm going to begin sharing some of that stuff with you. And then as I get feedback from you, as I get questions from you, I'll start to incorporate those things in. And then in a little bit farther down the road, we're going to start to have some guests. We're going to have to start to have some experts doing some interviews. I'd love at some point to have some of you that are listening be my guest. so we can have open conversations and we can maybe get your questions answered and do some coaching live. That's where I want to take this, and that's where we're headed. So I appreciate you being here. But this episode here, this first one is really just about creating hope and it kind of empowering you to understand you do have the ability to take control, even if right now your marriage seems hopeless, even if your marriage feels like it's dead. You can take control, and I'm going to teach you how to do that. You can begin to rebuild what feels like something that is lost, and I'm going to help you and walk with you through that. Uh, Last but not least, if you listen to the preview, I promised you a phone number. And I'm going to give you the phone number. This is a text only number. Do not call this number. I will not pick up, but if you text, I will receive your message. Now, understand, if I don't text you back immediately that I am putting this number out there to the world, I'm sharing it with many people, and I will demand that I be very busy. Understand also, I still have a full-time job that I work, and I have two children in college, and I have my own responsibilities, but I will respond to you. And if you want to have a conversation, if you want to ask a question, if you want to share a comment, that's what this is for. So get ready to write this down or put it in the notes on your phone, save it as a contact. But the Men Save Your Marriage podcast text only line is 812-648-3380. Again, my name is Terry. Men Save Your Marriage is the podcast, and the phone number to text, the text number is 812-648-3380. You can text me just to say hello. You can text me to ask a question. You can text to share a thought. You can text asking for advice, whatever it is. And if I will respond, and we will have a conversation. And if I can help you in any way, that's what I'm here to do. Okay, so we've been in the ring now for about I'm at 17 minutes, so we're going to get this cut short. We're going to end this, and I will see you in the next episode. Thank you for being here today, gentlemen. Let's kick this off and let's save your marriage. Okay, there is hope. It may not feel like it right now, but there is hope for your marriage, and I will walk you through that and teach you how to save it. Thanks again for being here, gentlemen, and I will see you on the next episode. Have a great day.